Welcome to the DevReady podcast. On today's episode of the DevReady podcast, I have Katerina joining me. Thanks for joining me, Katerina.
Oh, lovely to be here. Thank you for having me, Anthony.
It's a pleasure to have you on. I'll let you explain a bit about your background and your career and the pivots you've done, because I will do a terrible job at that.
Fantastic. So I'm Katerina Karanikolopoulos. I am the founder of Stradegio.ai, and there is no one more surprised than me that I have ended up building a tech startup. To put it in perspective, I started my career as a pharmacist. If I'd had my way, I actually would have studied music, but my family encouraged me to get a proper degree first. And I was heavily encouraged to be a pharmacist because that was a good career for a woman. Having become a pharmacist, I found I hated it. I remember thinking that there was nothing more depressing than doing the same thing when I was 40. And back then I thought 40 was old. Obviously, I have a different perspective on the matter now. So I retrained. I worked in advising on mergers and acquisitions deals. I've had commercial roles in pharmaceuticals, in digital marketplaces, such as iSelect. And I've been a strategy consultant. And my last role, I led the strategy function for Bupa for the Asia Pacific region. And it was really at that point that I took a step back and reflected about what to do next.
It's quite a varied history there with your career.
Yeah, it is very varied. And I think what I've discovered is that kind of non-linear career path where you've gone across different disciplines and different sectors. There's two things it's very good for. One is being a non-executive board director because it gives you breadth to bring to the board table. And the other one, surprisingly, is a tech startup or a startup or entrepreneurship generally.
Yeah, because as a founder or a startup, you do have to wear lots of hats and you have to wear them for quite some time. Yeah, and having that breadth of experience definitely helps. I think we find that as well. So, as I mentioned offline, we started the business in 2008. This is the only corporate experience, or not even corporate, the only job I've had outside of a part-time job at Coles and some summer internships. So we have learned how to be a software developer through to marketing, sales, HR, whatever, everything and everything.
Correct.
Anything.
The full stack. The full stack of everything.
Yeah, I think what we learned was it's important to know what you're good at and double down on that. And then you try and figure out how you can split the work. But are you a solo founder?
I am a solo founder. I am. And obviously that has its challenges because you're not only wearing many hats, you're literally it. So I have tried working with, I've tried working with some tech co-founders. There was one person I was working with out of Spain. But as I'm sure you've heard from all of the founders that you've spoken to, a co-founding relationship is like a marriage. You need to make sure that you find the right person. And I think like a marriage, the right partner is the person who brings out the best in you and who can challenge you and actually make you a better person or a better founder. And I hadn't really found someone who did that for me. I was working with someone, but they weren't challenging me. And I think it's really important that in a co-founding team, you have someone who will question, challenge, and really have a debate around, is it the right problem? How do you solve it? What's the best solution? How do we do this? Because it really takes that reflection together to get it right. It's really hard to nail the problem and the solution. So you really need challenge and debate.
Yes, you do. And if you have someone like yourself, you'll either argue too much and not get anywhere, or nothing will get done. So you do need the other point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So so I'm building Stradegio.ai. It is designed to shrink meetings while growing your outcomes from engaging people. And again, I think I mentioned earlier, there's no one more surprised than me that I'm actually building a tech startup. I'm not the typical archetype. But when I was working, I think this was in the second year of the pandemic, I really started questioning, as I think a lot of us did at that time, why am I doing this? What's my purpose in life? The fact that I wasn't getting to spend enough time with my son, and I convinced myself that I deserved a year off work. So I took a career sabbatical, and it was in that year off that I was still trying to figure out, what do I want to be when I grow up? And not having a clear answer to that, I knew I wanted to go heavier and I guess a lot deeper into innovation. And so I did an entrepreneur program. Again, didn't really have this vision that I was a founder, but was putting myself in that environment, and the idea came to me. And having strategy being my most recent background, I wanted to do something around AI to help create your strategy, but got challenged that how big a problem is that for people? How frequent and need is it? And so I went back to the drawing board and really realised that when I was working in corporate, one of my biggest concerns and issues was that meeting overload. And when I was leading workshops with leaders across businesses, often the biggest complaint that would come up and what was holding back our strategy execution was too many meetings. So I realised that actually that is a problem worth solving. It was a problem I personally felt, but also a problem that I thought I had the capability to solve in a different way from using my experience and my skills. So Stradegio is now live. I built it myself. Having not found the right tech co-founder, I couldn't sit there twiddling my thumbs. I learnt what I needed to do. I started coding. I started playing around with AI models, and with the help of some low-code platforms and ChatGPT answering all of my coding questions, I got my MVP up and running and in market.
And that's an amazing effort to be able to, without any background in sort of programming and development, to be able to get, even just with the no-code tools, to be able to get something off the ground and running, because they're not simple to use, especially if you haven't been taught how to structure and the process of building data structures and models and relationships and how data is meant to interact with each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I think given all the various career pivots I've done throughout my life, I think what I've really realized is that you can learn anything. You just need to be passionately interested and driven to learn whatever you need to achieve it. And that's what I did. I did the research, I did courses, got help where I needed it, and at the end of the day, it's the passion and the drive around solving the problem that gets you through it, and you learn what you need to learn.
Yep, that's exactly, it's the having that drive and passion to drive, you believe, and the conviction to move forward.
Yeah,
and then all right, what do I need to do? All right, I need to learn sales today.
Correct.
How do I make a button, call a ChatGPT API, and trigger a prompt or whatever it may be?
Yeah, all of that. And I've loved it, actually. I think I've realised that I love solving problems and building products, software development. It is problem solving on speed. Like you're constantly working the issue, trying to figure out how do you engineer something to get the result that you're after, and troubleshooting when something doesn't work. So I think anyone with a scientific background or any sciences or engineering background will take to it, with the right support.
Yeah, it's definitely all about problem solving. So as a consultant, we get pitched ideas and people are like, all right, I need to be able to do X or Y. Being very technical myself, so as a developer background, I straight away go into solution modeling and how is this technically going to be done. So I may be having a conversation in a workshop, and while my business partner's talking to them, I'll be Googling, all right, and then I'll come up, no, there's a limitation or this technology won't support that. So I'm already solving problems before we even move forward with how we do things. But that's just how I'm wired now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as a strategy consultant, I was solving problems. And I think those skills aren't necessarily widely taught. Like a lot of it you learn on the job. There's probably some uni courses where you get some good exposure to that. But that's actually one of the things that has been driving me with building Stradegio, is really around making those strategic thinking and problem solving skills around decision making and engaging people in the workplace more accessible and really democratizing that. So I'm approaching the problem in a very different way. When you look at the statistics, the time that we're spending in meetings has doubled since the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And yet 7 out of 10 of us say that meetings are not effective for the reasons why we meet people in the first place, so to clarify goals, to make group decisions, status updates, creating ideas. 7 out of 10 of us say that they're not effective for each and every one of those things, which is the whole point of having a meeting. So there's clearly something broken there. And then when I spoke to people, yes, the obvious stuff comes up around, why is this happening? Obvious stuff comes up around, we haven't been trained how to run meetings. We don't have time to prepare. There's people who waffle. There's people who dominate the conversation. But what less often comes up, and you really have to dig for this, is the fact that people are struggling with engaging people. And as our world has gotten more complex and uncertain, driving decisions across an organisation and maintaining alignment is actually getting harder. And people are dealing with challenges around stakeholders and influencing. So you end up having more and more meetings. And that's what I'm actually trying to get to. I'm trying to get to the crux of the problem with Stradegio versus just, audio transcription and recording and notes, which is very useful. It's administratively efficient, but it doesn't actually solve the underlying reason around why we have meeting overload and why meetings are ineffective.
Yep.
So that's my problem-solving skills coming to the fore.
Okay. Yeah, and then probably a lot of those issues with the meetings is there's no agenda set, so there's no reason. Like you might schedule an hour, you only need 15 minutes because an hour is just what you normally do. So a lot of autopilot happens.
Absolutely.
But there's not a cool plan. But and I just going through the website earlier before the podcast, I was able to see there is ways we can do your brainstorming before the meeting, get an outcome, and go, all right, now do we need to have the meeting? Now that we've all interacted and provided some value and feedback on this issue, had some AI assistance, we've got something to talk about rather than just doing your brainstorming in the meeting, which can be a big waste of time too.
Absolutely. And so I have people who are using Stradegio to replace a meeting. So, for example, there's one of my customers, they do twice weekly check-ins. Every second check-in, they're doing it offline asynchronously using Stradegio. I have other people who are using Stradegio for daily stand-ups. And what they do is they get everyone's update in the tool before the meeting. And then in the meeting, the AI analyzes the input and actually suggests these are the areas to focus the discussion on. This is how you'll maximize, the best use of your time. And they are saving 10 to 15 minutes every day in their stand-up. So if you do the maths on that, if you have a team of 6, that is an hour every day. That is 5 hours a week. And that is 7 weeks of time saved. That's back in people's pocket across a year. And, and they're having better quality discussions because of the structure that Stradegio gives them and the AI analysis.
Yeah, I think that's probably where it comes down to. It's not just that you're saving time, but the output is improved on that other end. So you can actually get better outcomes rather than, all right, you may have 4 meetings, but the output of those 4 meetings would be better than if you didn't have the tool. Or you may have 1 meeting and you're going to get to the outcome quicker. So it's all about the outcomes.
Yeah. I was just going to say that that's actually the real focus of the app, like getting a team leader or a host to be clear on the goal that they are seeking from engaging people. And then based on that goal, we actually give them suggestions to help them achieve the goal and the tools to do that more efficiently. So the next feature that we'll be building will actually give guidance on whether or not you need a meeting. Is there another way you can achieve the outcome? Or, maybe instead of a half-hour meeting, it can be 20 minutes if you do, X, Y, Z. So that's the second stage of the recommendation engine or suggestion engine that's being built.
I can see that feature being quite useful, especially if it's...
Yeah.
I'm not sure how your feature would work, but straight away Solution Mind comes out. It'll be put in your idea, what's the meeting about. It can give you, all right, have you covered these 4 topics or research, whatever it can come up with? Who needs to be involved? Send that to them as a discussion, come back, and then you can assess and say, all right, you've collected some information. This is what you may look at. Do you need to have a meeting? 60% yes, all right, let's go for it with a meeting or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and absolutely, that is one of the ways in which it will work. But really, just even what I found through talking to people, that just even going through the process of establishing what you're trying to achieve, even if you do nothing else, helps you have a better meeting. But obviously, through using the tools, there's a number of benefits. You can have a more inclusive discussion. Everyone gets a say. You can actually minimize the impact of a dominant voice. Or I know when I've worked in some teams, the boss may have had a different view. So I've sometimes been reluctant to share what I really think because, your boss won't be happy if you countervail their perspective. So I've built in features that allow anonymity so that everyone can share their view on a topic in a way that is inclusive and eliminates groupthink and bias. So even if you did only that, you would have a better quality discussion because you're really canvassing everyone's true perspectives.
And then probably the counterpoint to that is it gives everyone a bit of time to think before the meeting. Where most people probably just, I've got a meeting and there's no thought gone into them until they turn up, which is what I do most of the time.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the bigger vision is over time to actually be providing deeper guidance based on how the discussion itself is going to help frame the discussion, help people with their influencing skills and negotiation skills live in a session.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Because again, it's all about getting to the outcome.
With the journey that you've had so far, what's some of the biggest learnings you've had in learning those no-code tools or learning, say, data structures or what you need to pick up along the way to be able to actually get to the point of delivering an MVP?
So I went through what I would say is a very typical entrepreneur process. Well, it should be the typical process. Let's call it more the textbook process of identifying a problem, speaking to, probably 30, 40 people to understand their perspectives on the problem and really diving into understanding the problem deeply. And then I came up with some solutions. I actually had some solutions in mind beforehand, but I still did the customer deep dives first. And I created some prototypes, which I then tested with customers and got feedback, iterated a bit. But essentially, that is in many ways the typical process. But what I discovered once I built my MVP is that even though you try to not lead the witness when you're sharing prototypes, and what I discovered is that what people say and what they do are two very different things. So my advice to other entrepreneurs is get something in customers' hands, in the real world as soon as possible. So that you can actually start collecting real world data, real world feedback. And that can be even before you've built your MVP. It can be simple as a white paper and seeing how many people are interested in that topic and download it. It can be as simple as landing page experiments, which I did do some of. But the quicker you can get the most basic solution into customers' hands, the more you will learn and the more you'll figure out exactly where the problem is. So that was one key learning for me. So I probably would have tried to get something into customers' hands sooner. The second thing is really staying close to your first users and getting their feedback and as much data as possible around how they're using the product and what do they like about it and why are they using those features. So I built Stradegio more for bringing workshop style thinking into everyday meetings and hadn't actually thought about daily stand-ups, for example. I didn't think there was a problem there and that there weren't good solutions already out there for that. But one of my customers actually wanted to use it for that. And they said, hey, we really like it. We enjoy using it, but here's all the reasons why it doesn't work for a daily stand-up. So, of course, I dived into it, and also got pre-commitment. If I make these updates, will you use it for daily stand-ups? Yep. They said yes. So I re-engineered the app. So the other thing I'll say is I've re-engineered the app probably about 3 times. Each time a new feature or a new addition goes in, you are redoing all of your workflows and you're updating database structures.
Yeah,
so
depending on how
going
it's
as
built.
light as possible initially is important because you don't know what the final solution will look like. So anyway, I did all the work, went back to them, and now they've been using it every day for 12 weeks. So, and that's not the space that I was thinking about, but you're constantly thinking about, how do I get customers to adopt this product? What is the simplest, fastest path to adoption? Because you need adoption to learn and to evolve the product. And, you know, if people want to use it for that, go with the market signals, go with the signals that you're getting from your users, and make the product as great as possible. And then start really honing in on who is your ideal first customer profile and how you're going to get into their hands and how do you find the beachhead customer. And so that's one of the things I've been warring with. My first customers are using it for everyday meetings. I was actually thinking that my product would be used, you know, so team check-ins, daily stand-ups, a bit of workshop stuff. But I actually had thought that the product would be more for strategic problem solving, which it is absolutely great for. And I've had great feedback on, and people, you know, who want to use it for that, but they work in large corporates and they're limited around what software they can use. So this is a quandary. Do you go deep on your current customer's market signal, or do you go deep on where you know your strategic differentiation will be in the future that will put you in a better competitive, you know, position long term? And it's really hard. So trying to navigate, well, what's my beachhead and how do I find the customers that the beachhead is good for, but that will move with me into that strategic differentiated position? That's kind of some of the things that I'm working through right now, because it's not enough to have a product that you can get adoption today. You also have to think about what's going to be long-term defensible and a competitive differentiator, kind of that red ocean, blue ocean strategy. So I'm trying to be very purposeful around how do I set this up to be distinctly different and valuable to customers for the long term.
Yep. And from the way you're talking, I can see how your strategy background comes through, because you speak as someone who's been in the space for years and has been around startups and understands this space, rather than a founder who hasn't been in the space that long. You sound like what we tell our clients, all the same information. Like you found all the nuggets.
I can come work for you if my I can come work for you if my startup fails, Anthony.
Yeah, definitely. You found all the nuggets that we normally tell people. It's feedback as fast as possible. Get in your client's hands. Yeah. You will pivot. You will change. And then what you're calling the beachhead is what we like product market fit. Correct. You may think you know what that is, but that's always being changed. And then, all right, you've got people that are using it for the daily meetings, but if those stand-ups is a bigger problem and you can provide more value in that space, you probably might need to push in that direction, but it doesn't mean you can't do both. But you need to focus on one, and your messaging and your marketing has to be tailored to that.
Yeah, and I've really analysed the meeting competitor landscape, and there are certainly people that are working on reducing or eliminating meetings. You know, Loom is an example, and they recently got bought, you know, what was it, about $1 billion for $1 billion valuation by Atlassian. And then you've got other people that are working on the administrative assistant side, improving, you know, the administration, the notes, the actions, the transcription, summaries of meetings. And then there are other people that are working on engaging your audience in meetings, like Slido, for example.
Okay, haven't heard of that one.
But there's no one really working on what I call the strategic guide space. And I actually see that what Stradegio is doing is guiding, but actually I see us as being in the middle across all four of those things. And that is actually our point of differentiation, eliminating, reducing meeting, providing guidance. More and more in the future, we will go on to administrative assistant, but not now, because that's a red ocean and isn't a differentiator. And then engaging people in meetings. So kind of in the middle of all that is where I see our point of difference is. And it's a very difficult space to straddle, because you can't cut through to build awareness and for customers to be really clear on what's Stradegio for, what do I use it for, when do I use it, how do I use it, if you're too many things. So that process of picking what is that one thing that you will stand out in people's minds for to drive that awareness and adoption, and the knowledge, that little space in their brain that says, when I have this problem, I use Stradegio. You've got to be really focused and sharp with all of your messaging in the market. And it's very difficult when you're building a product that has multiple value points and use cases for your customers. And that's what I've been struggling with, and I can't say I've solved it, but I'm trying.
It's an ongoing dilemma. I don't think you'll ever solve it, but it's always just making decisions to push you in the right direction over time.
Yeah,
and then those little pivots to just course correct.
Absolutely.
One thing just comes to mind, instead of that administrative task, try and integrate with the Fireflies and the Loom and those products, so that way you can just get their transcripts and use them, so you can be part of every meeting without running the meeting if they have them still face to face.
Oh, 100%.
You may have trouble with but you may have trouble on those no-code tools. Those no-code tools may give you trouble integrating with them potentially. Yeah,
that's interesting. So I'm actually working with trialing another technical co-founder at the moment, and I'm so far so good. So we'll see how we go. But obviously he's not familiar with Bubble, he's learning. But what he has been able to do is actually build things in code, so fully code, and create a plugin, a custom plugin just for our app that plugs into the app. So depending on the platform you're using, there is actually the ability to use fully coded solutions in a no-code environment as well. So that's been fascinating to see. But up till now, I've just been doing all the API integrations myself.
The documentation,
I believe anything's
straightforward.
Possible.
Once you understand, you've picked up a lot, which is, I haven't seen a non-technical startup founder do this before in the 150 that we've spoken to through the podcast. They don't learn to code. It's not a simple thing. You're using no-code tools, so you're not doing the full coding, but you are connecting APIs.
I've just learned
things
Python.
Available. It's still, I'm not that familiar with Python.
No, I learnt enough to be able to work with all the large language models. There's
tutorials, there's things on how to do it. You've got ChatGPT, like you said. You've got an expert coder on your side. You can ask any question. It'll assist. Give it code, and it'll give you feedback. So it's probably without ChatGPT, you may have been in a very different position to be able to try and get to where you are.
Well,
and that's the democratization of that tech now.
Absolutely. That's exactly it, Anthony. I think the world is very different now. I think that anyone with low-code, no-code tools, with coding assistance, ChatGPT for me, the number of courses that are available online, I really believe if anyone is passionately interested enough and actually, has a builder, engineering, even just a little bit of an engineering mindset, they can learn and they can do it. It actually has consequences for the competitive landscape. Distribution, now that anyone can almost, say anyone, but, it still requires commitment. So maybe it's not everyone, but because that barrier to developing an app has dramatically been reduced, anyone could build an app. The bit that actually makes the difference is distribution. Distribution is going to become more and more important. So I can't stress enough how important it is to start developing your customer pipeline and your community around your product as early as possible, because having the product isn't actually going to mean success, right?
building it does not mean they will use it.
No, that's 100% right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that quote from that Kevin Costner movie, build it and they will come. That's not what happens with software. It's having the idea is one thing, being able to build it is another, being able to market it and turn it into an actual business and get customers willing to pay for it is where it's all at. If you can't commercialize it and get that message right, then you just spent money or time and not gone anywhere.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that as a founder, you need to be close to, particularly of a tech product, you need to be very close to the product, because the product will keep evolving. And, if you've shipped off development to an offshore team without maintaining that knowledge and awareness, either within the team or locally, you can end up having a product. But as I learned, and as I'm sure many founders have learned, as soon as the product's in customers' hands, you realize very quickly the 100 changes that you need to make for it to actually solve the problem for the customer in the way that they want it. So you need to be able to get your hands in and, evolve the product and not be stuck with something that you can't keep, pivoting, adjusting. That is the quickest way to death for a startup, I think, if you can't evolve your product based on customer feedback.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do. They're the ones that will get the value from it, so you have to continue providing value. If they're suggesting features, you're better off polling more users and get more of them saying, right, how many people will use feature X as opposed to, I believe feature Y is the thing that should be used.
Yeah, correct.
So where to from here for Stradegio?
Yeah, where to? So, that's a good question. It's really around building customers. We have about, we actually have a lot of customers. We have customers both locally and internationally. I've got daily active users. Now I'm really at the point where there's a couple more product refinements that need to be made, and I need to just make a call on the initial ideal customer profile that we will target, and then just try to scale that growth and build our customer profile. Obviously, I want to raise capital. I think the space that I'm in is a space where you need to be able to move quickly. So I need more hands. I need more people helping me. So tech co-founder. I'd love a go-to-market co-founder, raise capital, get more customers.
Sounds like
kind of the
a
goals.
solid plan. With your strategy background again, you've got it laid out. You know what you need to do, which is refreshing to see.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to find out more, you're definitely on the right path. I can see from the people we've spoken to. You're at a different level than a few of them. So,
thank you.
If anyone wants to find out more about Stradegio or reach out to you, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is Stradegio.ai, Stradegio.ai. You can sign up. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. I have a very long name. I apologise. It's Katerina Karanickolopoulos, but do reach out. I am still at the phase where I'm working very closely with the customers that we have to evolve the product and to make sure it's creating value for you. So I am very keen to have more people to work closely with to help shrink meetings and grow outcomes.
Awesome. And we'll add those links and notes as part of the show notes for the episode. Once again, Katerina, thank you for joining me on an episode of DevReady podcast, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you. Lovely to speak with you, Anthony. Have a good day.
Thank you.